in Jerusalem, US envoy Jared Kushner and Board of Peace representatives, including Tony Blair, have held high-level talks with Benjamin Netanyahu to salvage a stalled Gaza peace plan. The discussions follow rare direct meetings between Kushner and Hamas this weekend, both sides now agreeing to establish working groups on public health and demilitarisation before any reconstruction can begin. We've also just been hearing from Donald Trump in the last couple of minutes on the Memorandum of Understanding as well. There's this sort of framework, this agreement that was in place with Iran for the last couple of months, both of whom accuse the other of breaching. But in any case, it expired today, and Donald Trump saying tonight that they are basically not looking to renew it. So that memorandum of understanding that has sort of held together that fragile peace isn't on the table for renewal. Donald Trump also telling reporters in the White House today that he feels it would be a great idea for the Straits of Hormuz to become US territory. Loads to unpick with Jonathan Schanzer, who is Executive Director of the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies. Jonathan, thank you for being with us. Sort of hard to know where to start with all of that, isn't it, really? I wonder if we start with the conversations between Kushner, Blair and Netanyahu today that have led to, I don't know, much of a change in the position at all, Jonathan?
I don't know if there's much of a change that we can expect right now, and that is primarily for, well, I think probably two reasons. Number one, I don't think that Hamas will be acting in good faith. I think everybody understands that Hamas will not be acting in good faith. Yes, there are leaders that have indicated that they are maybe willing to be pragmatic, but in the end, we're asking them to dismantle themselves, right? We're asking them to disarm and to essentially leave the Gaza Strip, which means we're asking for them to surrender. And that's just not something that's in the Hamas DNA. The other thing, of course, is that we're asking them to engage in confidence-building measures with the Israelis. So in other words, Israel departs parts of Gaza, and then Hamas is expected to do the same, and on it goes, one step after the next. The problem here is that, number one, I don't think there's good faith on the part of Hamas. Number two, Israel's in the middle of an election cycle. And there is just no way on God's green earth that Benjamin Netanyahu can look at the Israeli public with a straight face and say, yes, we're leaving parts of Gaza and we're going to expect Hamas to act in good faith. And trust me, it's all going to work out because some multilateral institution called the Board of Peace says that it's going to be okay. My guess is that we probably stay exactly where we are. Not a lot of movement between now and October when the elections are set to take place. After that, I think there'll be a lot more flexibility. But for the moment, it just sounds like something that is just not feasible because of Hamas, because of its nature, and because of the nature of politics in Israel.
So far as construction is concerned in Gaza, and reconstruction, I suppose, in Gaza, where are we actually up to in that process?
We're not seeing a lot. I mean, look, what you need to understand right now is that there's still a war that is going on. I mean, Hamas has not surrendered. Hamas is still fighting. And as a result, Israel's still fighting. Now, this is low-intensity conflict, but the landscape has changed significantly. Right now, the Israelis control 70% of the Gaza Strip. The Israeli military has deployed around every border, and they have pinched in steadily over time. And what started as, 30%, then went to 40, 50, 60. We're now at 70%. There's an area that the Israelis call the yellow zone. That's what they control. And it is effectively a kill zone. They will shoot anything that moves coming out of what they call the red zone, which is what Hamas currently now controls. The area in the yellow zone where the Israelis are deployed, they are flattening the place. They are actually preparing for, they're going underground and they're destroying tunnels, but they're also destroying the buildings that were partially destroyed. So there's a handful of buildings that are left and that can be salvaged, but there's a lot that needed to be destroyed for engineering purposes. And the hope will be that we start to do real reconstruction, but real reconstruction can only take place after a surrender takes place, after Hamas decides that it's going to lay down its weapons and leave the area. Then I think it'll be safe. Let's just be honest here. No country in the world will want to invest billions of dollars to rebuild the Gaza Strip if Hamas is still in control. Okay. And the Israelis won't allow for it because why would they? if Hamas is still fighting.
Jonathan, we've heard from Donald Trump tonight, just to take us to Iran, that the memorandum of understanding signed with Iran in mid-June will not be re-signed or extended. It sort of technically ran out today. I know that it's largely collapsed and both sides have sort of accused each other of breaching it. But in any case, we haven't seen the intensity of conflict that we saw pre its signing in June. So where does not signing it again or extending it leave us?
It leaves us exactly where we are. I mean, I think we can be honest about this, that this MOU and all the attempts to restart the various ceasefires over the last several months has not really gotten us very far. I think both sides are at a loss in terms of what a theory of victory might look like. And both sides are trying to keep a lid on the expansive hot war that we were watching that led to that first ceasefire. Why? Well, from the Iranian perspective, we can completely understand it. They lost their Air Force, they lost their Navy, they lost a huge amount of their arsenal, they lost 100+% of GDP from the attacks. They've lost a lot of their top leaders, command and control. They would probably prefer that the hot war not come back. Yeah. And then from the U.S. perspective, there's no winning because the Iranians have decided to wage an asymmetric conflict that keeps the Strait of Hormuz from flowing the way that it should. An international waterway has been shut down. It's shooting up the price of oil. It's a drag on Donald Trump's prospects for the election here in November. And so you add all that together and both sides are a bit exhausted. I think they'd like to probably keep it a low intensity conflict where neither side needs to surrender. But then again, neither side gets to declare victory either. Now, I will say, that all said, the Iranians have announced over the last 24 to 48 hours that they have spent the last 60 days preparing for an onslaught. Whether that's true or not, I guess remains to be seen, but it is possible that the Islamic Republic decides to mount a new offensive, firing at all of its different neighbors, firing at the Israelis, firing at oil installations, firing at American ships. That would be a significant escalation. But I do think it's one that Donald Trump, the rest of the world, the Gulf states, even the Iranians are probably hoping to avoid.
Okay, one of those neighbours in the Gulf states is Oman, who, if not threatened by Iran, have been threatened by Donald Trump today. He's threatened to bomb them if the nation gets in the way of negotiations over the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz that he said that sort of reiterated his claim, Jonathan, that it would be and could be US territory. Explain that one to me, Jonathan. What's happened here? How have Oman come into Donald Trump's line of fire?
Well, let me first say that Oman should have been in the line of fire quite a while ago. This is a country that hosts a Houthi headquarters in their country. They like to tell everybody that they are the Switzerland of the Middle East, but then again, they've been allowing Iranian IRGC, the Revolutionary Guards, and the Houthis run around in the country, engage in all kinds of financing schemes and weapons schemes and intelligence sharing. This was never a good look for a country that said that it was an American ally. It's an ally of the Islamic Republic. They, together with the Iranians, were talking about extracting tolls from ships transiting the Strait of Hormuz. It's not a good look. Donald Trump has given up on them as negotiators, as interlocutors between the Iranians and the U.S., much in the same way that I think we've given up on the Qataris. Very similar in nature, these two countries. The Qataris, of course, being the one of the key bankrollers of Hamas, the terrorist group in Gaza that started this war. So I think you're starting to see Donald Trump sour on these countries that in the Middle East that I would call frenemies, right? Neither friend nor foe. They kind of play everybody off the middle. They're arsonist and firefighter. This is exactly how I would describe Oman. I'm actually personally glad to see that Donald Trump is running out of patience with the Omanis because I don't think that they've been honest brokers here. And, it was about time that we all woke up to that.
Okay, interesting. I haven't heard that before. Jonathan, thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate it. Very good to talk to you, Jonathan Schanzer, who is Chief Executive Director of the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies, with us on Times Radio. David says the Board of Peace has no authority. It's only recognised by Trump. Once he's gone, then the Board of Peace will cease. It is folly.